think when you saw LeBron James kind of hugging Chris Paul and talking to him, there are two different mentalities. There's the old school mentality, which ironically here the young kid has, which is it's us against them. It's like a gang mentality, a crew mentality when you're playing sports. You see this with the Red Sox and the Yankees, right? Yankees are indoctrinated to hate the Red Sox as they're coming up through the system, where no matter what happens, if someone in your crew is fighting someone in their crew, you just start throwing punches. And Ingram brought that mentality. You call it a sucker punch, and I get it. You can't encourage it, and you must suspend him and punish him for it. But all Ingram knew, even though he started it, was these two dudes are fighting. That's my dude. I'm throwing punches at the other dude. And I wonder, hold on one second, I wonder how the divide between the younger players and the older players, LeBron has friends around the league, best friends in the case of Chris Paul. I wonder what the division is there between the younger players who are like, hold up, our two teams are in a fight. What are you two doing hugging? And the older players who are saying it's not that serious. We have friends who aren't on our team.
Well, first of all, I'm kind of wondering what your definition of a fight is, because number one, after shoving James Harden, he didn't get in James Harden's face. He got in the face of an official who's about twice his age and about 10 inches shorter. That's number one. Number two, he tried to sucker punch Chris Paul as Chris Paul was being restrained by his teammate. I don't know about you, but I don't see anything. I'm not saying you use the word attractive or anything like that, but don't bring some street kind of mentality to me. That's not how it goes down. Number three, let me get back to the whole Chris Paul thing, because I spoke to Chris Paul afterwards, and Chris Paul's mentality was very, very simple. He did everything he possibly could to avoid getting suspended. He knows he's not just a player. He knows he's not just a star. He also knows that he's the president of the Players Association. So even after Rondo spit in his face, rather than yak him and punch him straight in the face from that off tap, what he did was mush them because he got spit in the face, and then Rondo caught him with a left straight to the jaw. And that's why Chris Paul retaliated the way that he did. Again, it warrants a suspension because in today's NBA, if you throw a punch by letter of the law, the second you throw a punch, it warrants an automatic suspension.
Stephen A.,
but his suspension with Rondo shouldn't even be in the same ballpark.
That's what I've already touched on that. I said I wouldn't even suspended Chris Paul.
I know you did. I was just talking to you about what you said about
Brandon Ingram is a live wire. And he not only started it, he finished it. And in between, the biggest problem I had is the way he approached the ref, like trying to intimidate him. And Rondo spitting is out of bounds. I agree about all that. What I'm bringing up is a separate point now, which is there seems to be a divide between the veterans here who showed cooler heads, who behaved like adults, like LeBron James, who have friends on other teams, like Chris Paul, and the younger players, like, for example, Brandon Ingram, who are like, time out. There's a problem between our team and their team. I'm not trying to hear about
your loyalty.
Where's your loyalty? Jumped in and hit the other guy.
And my point is, what divide are you talking about? Lonzo Ball was there. He's young. He didn't do that. You said Kyle Kuzma was there. He was young. He didn't do that. There's plenty of players that were young that were on the court that didn't do what Brandon Ingram did. It's not a testament to the younger generation. It's his idiotic self. It's him as an individual. It's him as an individual.
No, Stephen A., I'll ask you this then. What did you think about LeBron pulling Chris aside? His boy, rather
I had
than
no problem
his
with
teammates.
It. First of all, Chris Paul was right in front of LeBron. So not only did LeBron is closest to proximity of Chris Paul, but he's also one of Chris Paul's best friends. They're the godfathers to each other's children.
Right.
They're that tight. So why wouldn't he grab Chris Paul? He did the right thing.
I think the thought process is where's your allegiance, because now this is his team.
Right, this is not simple.
It's stopping a fight.
It's not simple. I'm not claiming it's simple or that I agree that LeBron shouldn't have went to Chris Paul. I don't have a problem with what LeBron did either. But let's not pretend that there is not a mentality, a camp that says, wait a minute, and we all know it, wait a minute. That's our team and their team. I'm not trying to hear about your relationship off the court. Now, I think LeBron behaved as an adult. I understand why he did it. I think it's Ingram who needs to learn something here. However, let's not pretend that on some level people don't relate. And there are some people who would actually take Ingram's side, saying two teams are in a fight. That's not the time for players on other teams to be friends. That's the time to back up your teammate because that exists. We can't pretend it doesn't exist.
In this case, I can. And the reason that I can is because, again, you're stopping a fight. If you recall, Carmelo Anthony grabbed Brandon Ingram. Nobody said anything about that. But we're talking about LeBron grabbing one of his best friends who happens to be the godfather to his children. He grabbed him. He didn't grab him and hold him so Rondo could hit him. He grabbed him and pulled him away while Melo and others grabbed and pulled Brandon Ingram away. I don't even understand why we're having this discussion, to be quite honest with you, not this portion of it.
This is not a rhetorical question. It's a genuine question. I'm curious to know your opinion on this. Do you think that this shows, at least in some small way, you mentioned there are a lot of guys around the league who don't want to play with LeBron. Does this show in some small way why some may not? Like he has friends around the league.
No, not this. Okay. Not this incident. No, not at all.